So, welcome in to part 3 of Kaitlyns' transplant journey Q&A. I'm going to pick this one up where I left off on the second one, right after her dad, she got to video chat him. So, I'm still editing. I'm hoping this may be one or two more parts. I'm not sure, but I'm still editing. So, let's do this.
I got rolled back at like 3:30 or something. It took them a couple hours to get. I had to have central lines. I had to have arterial lines placed to monitor everything going on. They wanted to make sure everything was good. Had to have so many different lines placed. They were doing so many different things.
Works.
Yeah, while I was back there in the OR. And I can remember the last thing I said was, make sure they take pictures. I want to know what my lungs look like. So I think the surgery lasted 6 hours or 6.5 hours.
They told us you were going back at 6, and they called us at noon and said you were through. So it was about 5.5, 6 hours.
So, and then they took me to the ICU. They put an epidural on my back for pain. And then they started waking me up like the afternoon, like 3 or something. And I didn't take very well to the first time. Like, I was fighting them.
It was about 5.
Yeah, I was fighting them. I was like, I do not want to wake up, I guess. So, but finally, and also my mom's a little peeved because when they were waking me up that time, I woke up and Brooke and my brother were in the room with me, not mom and dad.
I'd already been in there.
Yeah, even though they were the first people to come back and see me, it was Brooke and Dalton in there. They were the second people to come back and see me. And that's when I woke up, and I remember kind of like not talking to them. I had a tube in my throat, but they were like, oh my gosh, you're awake, blah, blah, blah.
Well, they had a hard time extubating her because of her gag reflexes too.
Yeah. So, what time though? I think it was like 8 o'clock at night.
It was about 7 by the time he was extubated.
Yeah, when they finally woke me up fully and they extubated me and I was breathing on my own.
And that's where I made the video.
Yes. Also at this point, funny fact, I did not sleep a wink that night, even though I was exhausted, because I didn't believe I was breathing. Because where I had to work so hard to breathe, I was just breathing naturally. I was watching, like, up on the monitor, making sure I was breathing. Like, I was just, like, the whole night. And then I think 5 a.m. they came in and said, hey, we're going to get you up and start walking. And I was like, are you crazy? I think I'm going to puke. And she's like, well, we'll just carry a bucket in front of you. So 5 a.m., they sat me up. I made a lap around the hall with 500 tubes and machines following me.
5 people after you.
Yep. And then by 8 a.m., I was down on the step-down unit, which is just a regular floor, because they took most of the lines out because I was doing so good. Nobody could believe how fast I was recovering. I was there 2 weeks on the dot before they let me go home. I would have been gone sooner, but my issue was going on that insurance didn't want to pay for all the medicines, so they were fighting to make sure I had all the medicines I needed. So that took like 5 days, or else I would have been home sooner. After that, I had to go to like rehabilitation. I did that for 6 weeks, strengthening myself back up. I couldn't drive for 8 weeks because I had staples all the way across. My sternum had been cut this way, so I have wires that keep it together. It's healed now, I guess.
84 staples.
84 staples. So every week was a different milestone. Like, oh, this week we're going to take this out. Oh, this week we're going to do this. Oh, this week we'll take some of the staples out. That's how things. And then 8 weeks they were like, oh, now you can drive.
She drove herself home.
Yeah. And we went to the beach. I think, so I had it March 22nd, 2019. And I was home.
May the 26th or 27th.
I was going to say it wasn't.
That was May the 26th.
So I was back home in Tennessee in the middle of May. So I was there
4.5 months.
Yep. And then that whole time on, like, I had restrictions. I couldn't lift so many pounds for so many months. I couldn't do this. And for the first year, that's your credible year, they were like, don't go on vacations, don't go in hot tubs, don't eat this, don't eat that, don't go to Walmarts without masks, like, you know, be super cautious. So for a whole year, really, I had to be super careful.
Because She doesn't have a very good immune system.
Yeah, and that's when it was the most critical, I guess.
And tell them why you don't have a good immune system.
The anti-rejection drugs.
Because
They help to sleep my immune system.
Or it'll attack
So
her.
my lungs don't get attacked, and my body's like, those are not our lungs.
See, they don't recognize it because it wasn't her DNA. They think, oh, this is a virus, so we're going to have to attack this and try to get rid of it.
Yeah. So they sleep your immune system, which is why they want you to have so many immunizations beforehand, because you can't have anything like that afterwards because your immune system won't know what to do. So it tries to keep you from getting sick, and I still have to be careful. I'm not as careful as I was the first year. And then COVID hit, and I really didn't do much. So what was that last part?
Oh.
A career
Oh,
field?
what caused you to get in your career field?
So, as I was saying before, I wanted to be a CRNA to start with. I always had a fascination with surgery since I was a kid. So I want to do something in surgery. I want to be anesthesia.
How many surgeries did you have?
I had over 100 before my
Approaching
transplant.
200 surgeries.
Yeah. So I really wanted to do that. And then once I realized how much schooling that took, I was like, no. While I was at Duke, one of the other people that was getting a transplant, his wife was a CST. And I somehow stumbled upon, like, on the internet, like, oh, hiring for CST, certified surgical technologists. And I was like, that might be interesting. So I really started looking at it. And then she told me that she did that. And she said, that would be perfect for me to do since it's a sterile environment. Sick people, honestly, don't get surgeries. And if it is, it's for something else. So you can kind of choose what surgery you want to go into. And so I started doing that, and I love it. I work in labor and delivery now, and I love it.
Celeste Colton. I just read a comment that another viewer had written about scars. I was wondering if they had gone through her back, because I remember the first time she was getting up to walk in that video I just watched, they were checking her back out before they let her go anywhere.
So I had an epidural in my back. That's probably what they were checking out, making sure it didn't get pulled or nothing. I also had chest tubes that were almost in my back. There you can see, the scar? There's like scars up here.
No, she's got scars here
And here. They went like this.
She had 8 of them.
Yeah, 4 on each side of chest tubes. So I have 4 scars here and 4 scars on this side. I have the main scar, which kind of wraps around like this to my armpit, which I can show you a picture here.
It's called a clamshell.
And so what they do is they cut you and they kind of lift up and they snap the sternum. So that was my main. And then in my neck, I had a lot of central lines. So I have a couple scars like on my neck from that.
Well, where she was poked so much and prodded so much, her veins in her arms were in bad shape. They had so much scar tissue when they tried to set a line, it would just bounce back because of so much scar tissue. Yeah, and they blew within 18 hours. They were blown, so they had to put a portacath in her.
This was before transplant. Because they had to take it out afterwards because they didn't want it to set up infection. So I have scars like on my chest. From
G-tube scars.
Yeah, I've got a G-tube scar
right here.
There. I would show you my main scar, but it's
right underneath her.
They did a really good job with it because if I wear a bikini, you don't really see it.
Do you user YB9UB5? Do you have any physical limitations such as swimming underwater or any other type?
Yes and no, but swimming I can do anything that involves like breathing. I can do way better. I can go mountain biking now, like I mentioned. I can run. I'm not a runner, but I can run if I have to.
But you are limited on where you can swim.
Yeah, I can't be in lakes. But if it's moving water, if it's still water like a pond or something, the bacteria just sits there and they don't really want me swimming in that. But if it's an ocean, a river, I can swim in those. Yeah, I can swim in those. I love swimming, so I'm not saying that I don't follow that rule 100%. I'm just super careful about it.
Well, she's not supposed to be in hot tubs, but she does.
I go in hot tubs, but not that much because it's 95 degrees in the summer. But I go. They don't want me being in like a community pool very much because kids in there peeing and throwing up. But I can still swim and stuff, and I love to do that. But I have most limitations. Since they did my surgery, I have a lot of back problems and up into my shoulder because I was laying there for hours like this, and they had my sternum up like this. So my spine was flexing, and actually, so your spine will look like this with your ribs. My ribs and my spine will sometimes do this, and I have to go get them put back in place, kind of.
Therapy.
Yeah,
Just have therapy
but
sometimes.
so my spine limitates me, my back does. I also have osteoporosis. So I still, like, the reason why I'm dressed like this is I've been at the gym. I do a lot of weight training and weightlifting to improve that. So I don't really have that many limitations. It's mostly just where I go for it. And I don't push myself too hard. I have to take breaks.
Kimber Brown, how long did you have to wait to get on the list? Do you have to take anti-rejection meds forever? How do you really feel? Talk about PTSD, not being able to breathe. Shoot, girl. We take that for granted every day.
Yeah. Anti-rejection meds, I have to take for the rest of my life. They will decrease. So since I hit 5-year mark, I got to decrease them some, so it would give my kidneys a little bit of break because they're acting up. So I was like on 7-8 milligrams of my anti-rejection meds this whole time. It was higher at the very beginning and slowly. Now they've lowered it down to like 5-6 area. And as I keep going, it'll keep getting less because my body will get more and more used to this. Or it could go more. If I keep having rejection and stuff, it could go up. So it kind of fluctuates. But yeah, I'll be on them for the rest of my life, which still is not as bad as all the other pills I used to have to take.
Which is a small price to pay to be able to breathe.
Yeah.
How many anti-rejection meds do you take?
I take tacrolimus.
Which is Prograf.
Yeah, mycophenolate, which is Celsep, and then prednisone. They say it's for anti-rejection med, but it's supposed to keep inflammation down so that your immune system doesn't, attack any kind of inflammation and stuff.
How do you really feel?
A lot of times I'm pissed off, I will say. I really am. I really try to not let things bother me, and everyone says that, like, how do you not let this stuff bother you? I just don't let it, but sometimes, every now and then, I really get pissed off. I see somebody out there smoking a cigarette, and they're on oxygen or something, and I know, like, hey, maybe if you didn't smoke on the cigarette, you won't be on oxygen. And I don't say it as much anymore, but people, like, sometimes people I would know, I would talk to them, like, how crappy it was that they would smoke around me, even though I couldn't breathe.
Her first cousin.
I left a lot of people in tears when I would talk about that stuff. I don't really much anymore, and just people are going to do what they're going to do.
Do you have PTSD?
Yes. A lot of stuff, even from just, I don't know. I say a lot that I think my mind really blocked out a lot of that stuff beforehand after my surgery, because where now I'm not going through as much, I think my mind just kind of like pushes away, because Brooke,
to be able to cope.
Yeah, Brooke will mention stuff that's happened before about me, like, oh, do you remember that one time we was doing something and you had this? And I'm like, nope. But I know it's true because I know something like that happened, but I don't remember it. So I do have a lot of PTSD, and especially as soon as I do start getting sick, I'm worried that that's just how it's going to be. Like, I freak out that I'm not going to get better, but I do.
I think it's the preventative that wants to, because you know what it was like.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, we can't let this happen, so we got to.
Yeah, like this allergy things. It was like a routine. I would get allergies, a sinus infection, then bronchitis, and then it would turn into a full-blown lung infection. I was in the hospital on 5 liters of oxygen there for weeks. So every time now I get a little sniffle, I'm like, now I'm going to be in the hospital forever, and I don't want to do that. But I'm probably not going to be, because it's just allergies, and I'll take some allergy medicine, it goes away.
The wall CW, what improvements happened that you didn't expect? If I'm butchering these names, I'm sorry.
A lot. Like, I knew I was going to breathe better, but I didn't know how much of a change that was, because my whole life had been sucky breathing. I didn't think, like, some things, like, I gain weight easier now, and I guess that's because I'm not struggling so hard.
You can run.
I can run. I can do all this stuff. And before, like, I despised doing any kind of physical activity, obviously, because I couldn't breathe and it sucked. But now, like, I enjoy going to the gym. I enjoy mountain biking. And I've picked up on a lot of hobbies that I didn't expect I would because of it.
But she can do them now.
Somebody, I think Brooke, she's the one that says that I actually probably got the emotions of the person that donated my lungs, because I'm a very emotional person now, where I used to be just shut off.
She would just sit like a whatever.
And now, like, I see a cat climbing the road and it looks homeless and I'm crying. So I got emotions, I guess. I don't know, I've got a lot of stuff. I can't really think right now, but a lot of stuff, as they happen, I'm like, I didn't expect that, but okay.
What was, Radiance Rush asked this one. What was the hardest part of the whole process of getting the lung transplant, and what was the easiest?
The hardest part was the setbacks. I had a lot of them. Like, I should have been on the transplant list like 3 or 4 weeks before I should have, where I'd get sick and in the hospital. My MMR vaccines kept not wanting to take, so I had to get a couple of those, and it would take 2 or 3 weeks to see if those would set up. So that was a setback. Anything like that, or the dry runs and stuff, like all those little things.
I think it was more the roller coaster of emotions that you went through.
Yeah, but those were like the hardest parts, because I didn't think I was going to be here long enough to get on the list if this stuff kept happening.
So what was the easiest?
The transplant. Yeah.
That's weird.
Once they said it's good to go, it's like poof. Oh, good. It still sucked, but it was probably the easiest, because I know I had this new lungs and things were just going to get better from here. Yeah.
It might not have been if you hadn't been through so many surgeries in the past and so many hospitals. Like, I think that prepared her.
Yeah, I think because I knew what to expect with surgery and anesthesia and waking up and pains and stuff.
Too, when she did her post-transplant rehab, it was broken up into 2 parts. The first part of the session, you had to go into a classroom, and they would teach you, and they would train you, and then they would tell you this stuff. And in the second half, the patients would have to go out for rehab, and the caregivers had to stay for parts of the class that
on how to take care of me.
Yeah.
So that also prepared me a lot. So once it happened, I kind of knew a lot of things that were going to happen, and they had already told me beforehand, so it was kind of easier to deal with, I guess. Now the pain, it was what it was. I remember the first PFT they had me do after my transplant. It was like 4 or 5 days after. And the numbers I got were like in the 70s, which you might not think is good, but also I had been cut, so it hurt really bad to breathe in really hard and breathe out. And I was like, I have to give this my all I can without screaming in pain. And the guy was like, why are your numbers this good? You should not have tried that hard, because now you're hurting. And I was just like, but I can do it. So.
And it may have just been from habit too.
Yeah.
Because, you know, in your mind you're thinking...
It hurt anyway beforehand to breathe in really hard. And I broke a couple ribs a few times from coughing so hard. And I didn't believe I did. And for 6 weeks, my family was like, please go to the ER. We think you broke ribs. I was like...
She'd get petechia too on her chest. Little pinpricks or red spots where she'd cough so hard. So, this is where I'm going to end this episode of this series. It's going to be a 4-part series. Like I said, she had a lot to say. And I am so proud of her, because before this, she wouldn't talk about any issues. Now she's willing and able, if she thinks she can help someone, to just let her information be out for other people to learn from, to gain strength from, and to encourage people. So, I hope you enjoyed this video. I got one more to go. One more. And it should be over. It should be done. So, tune in for the next one, and that one will be the last of this series. And don't forget to like, to subscribe, to hit that notification button, and to share this video so her story can get out for more people to see. She wants to help people. So, Until next time, tune in for the next one, which will be Tuesday. Bye.